Welcome everybody, and it's time again to watch a Jaedong replay. This is going to be Cal up here in the top position, and then we're going to have Jaedong at this bottom left position here. We are on the map Aztec, and I'm very excited to see how these two players are going to play. Cal is someone who went into the military. We haven't seen him for quite some time, and a lot of us are curious if he's going to have a return into StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2. Meanwhile, both these players, it's a PvZ. Jaedong I would give in the favor of this matchup, but I do not know what year this is. Sometimes Cal has shown glimpses of greatness. And when you think back into 2010, when he went to the WCG finals, when he was doing so well, everybody thought that maybe he was going to be the top dragon of that era. Now we do see that the Overlord is scouting to the right position here, and not by the correct position, I mean the actual right of the map, and that is going to be at the disadvantage of Jaedong. He will not know as quickly where our Protoss player is. Although I'm quite confident this is a 3-player map. I can't remember. I am unfamiliar with Aztec. I do know the map, I just do not play on it that often. It is quite old, in fact. So we do see that the probe is coming down in this bottom position here, and that reinforces my opinion that it is a 3-player map. So you see Cal is going to be moving his probe back over to this left-hand corner here, and that might throw off Jaedong. He might see the probe with his Overlord and think, well, maybe this is a late scout from Cal. So let's see how this is going to play out. I wonder if he's going to move his Overlord to the top position or continue sending it to the right of the base. So now we see the probe just barely missing. Is that going to be within vision? I did not know if Jaedong saw it. So no, Jaedong continuing to send his Overlord over to that bottom right corner. So Cal is going to know exactly what is going on first. Meanwhile, we have a pull first build here, followed by a hatchery, and then the Overlord is going to be quite delayed. Okay, never mind. We do have the Overlord out on the map, so I'm pretty sure this was an overpull build, and now the hatchery is in construction. Meanwhile, Cal being very ballsy, he's going for a quick Nexus first. He does have the Forge, so this is going to be a Forge expand play, and I do like this economy play from both players. Meanwhile, this hatchery is going to have a little while before it's going to get done. There's not going to be any aggression at this time. There's another drone being sent out. I don't know if this is going to be a drone that's going to be sent over to this bottom right location, probably to build an additional hatchery here. At 190 minerals, 200 now. It looks like Jaedong saving up for the 300 for the hatchery. And if we look inside of the base, we have a photon cannon down. 2 of them sitting at this pylon. This choke, it's kind of wide. Zerglings might be able to get by, and they are being sent up to that location of Cal's base at the natural area. Another gateway finally coming down. It's going to make this choke point a little bit harder here, and Cal bringing in the probes because he wants to be able to block that entrance, and these Zerglings are not going to be able to get by. A nice timing play, and it looks like we do have the additional hatchery coming, so 3 bases for Jaedong, taken up pretty quickly in this game. We are only 3 minutes in, and he is just going to start pushing towards that stronger economy. Are we going to see a hatchery, a 3-base, 5-hatch Hydra bust, or is it going to be more of a macro game like we saw when Jaedong was playing Bisu in my most recent replay? Now Cal, he's starting his mining now. He does not have a gas taken up yet. In fact, his original assimilator still hasn't been taken either, which means that he hasn't been able to start researching any upgrades, whether it be +1, whether it be Dragoon range, whether it be, you know, going for the Stargate. Everything's going to be really far delayed, but that's because he wanted to get that Nexus very quick. So the Cybernetics core is coming down right now, and everything will just fall into place just a little bit later in time. I'd say he's about 30 seconds to a minute behind on a normal gas build. So this Overlord coming into the main base, it's going to be able to scout everything that's going on, seeing that there aren't really that many buildings, which means that the crux of Cal's base is going to be sitting inside of this natural. This is where all the important bases, units, everything is going to be spawning at this time. Meanwhile, we do have a hatchery with several Zerglings coming over to just kind of defend, I guess, but there will be no reason for defense. So Jaedong, he's going to be able to just push out as many drones as possible, but is he going to get this quick gas? That's all what it's going to depend on. What we saw in the last game with Bisu versus Jaedong, he decided not to get an extractor at his natural on 3rd base. He went for a heavy mineral Zergling aggression to maintain control while he continued to macro up. Is it going to be the same on this map? You know, each map is designed to push the race into different sorts of builds. You can't go for the same build every time. unless you try and go for the 6 pull. Even that, or 4 pull, I'm sorry, this is StarCraft 1. So if you go for the 4 pull and StarCraft 1 on a really long map, obviously it could end up screwing you over too. We've seen that happen numerous times. In fact, there was a great game on Fortress, I believe, with Fantasy, who just barely holds off a great 4 pull play, just dropping down barracks right in time, defending everything as flawless as he could as a Terran player. So it looks like we do have 2 defending zealots here, going to be blocking off this choke. Meanwhile, the +1 upgrade. So this is looking like a very solid build right now for Cal. I questioned how late is he going to have this Citadel. So it is finally about to finish. Meanwhile, he is going for that Stargate play. He's going to start pumping out those Corsairs and getting the scout off and possibly pick off as many Overlords as possible. Meanwhile, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 Zerglings just all spread out across this map, patrolling the area, giving tons of space, and I really like to see this. Meanwhile, an Overlord just spread out over here, and more Overlords spread at the bottom position here to make sure that there's nothing cheesy, no shuttles coming in, nothing is going to catch Jaedong off guard. But there is a lack of vision right here. He might have a momentary lapse if Cal decides to go for some aggressive play. So sitting outside of his base, one single Zergling, it should have enough vision to see these Zealots if they try to move out, even if they try to skirt along this corner here. So looking inside of Jaedong's base, he has an evolution chamber and a hatchery at the front. It's going to make it a lot more difficult for the Protoss player to bust inside. I imagine a Kree colony will come down at some point, but he does not need to rush the drones over to build that Kree colony just yet. Meanwhile, Scourge are on the way. How many of these Scourge are going to get shots off? This Corsair is going to be forced to go away. It has 1 kill though, so managing to do a little bit of damage before it was taken out. And it looks like it's going to be safe into the cannon range. Meanwhile, the Zealots are moving out. The Zerglings are on retreat. But where are the Zealots going to go? That's the decision that Jaedong is going to have to figure out. So Cal moving down with his Zealots. He's getting a little bit of attack off. These Zerglings are not going to be a strong enough powerhouse. Meanwhile, like I said, Kree colonies coming down. They're going to have to morph into sunken colonies if Cal realizes that maybe I should start targeting that 3rd base. So a couple Zerglings running towards this middle area, trying to just kind of skirt off the Zealots, kind of distract them. Meanwhile, Cal, he's just pushing forward. He doesn't care about these distractions. He's going to try and bust up inside of this base, and the sunken colonies are just going to be barely finishing in time. But the +1 is done. Well, the +1 is about to finish. The speed is done. So here we go. It's about to finish. Cal wants to wait for this timing. This is the same timing that we saw Bisu not be able to punish Jaedong with. And in the end, it was not good for Bisu. And meanwhile, Cal, he's going to have to deal with it. So the Lurkers are on the way. If the Lurkers finish, this is going to be completely thwarted. He needs to move in now. So trying to get around and maybe target on some drones. And look, he's already picking off 1 drone. But the Lurkers, they're halfway done. And I think that Cal realizes he's pretty much lost this base. Another sunken colony, or spore actually being built right here. Just a little bit for the defensiveness of the Corsairs, because Jaedong can't be everywhere at once. Regardless of what you guys are going to believe, because he's such a great player, but that is true. He's going to have to go for that static spore defense. Meanwhile, we have a huge Corsair force coming in, so this is going to be the great support. And did he see the Lurkers? The Lurkers ran just right by, and now the Zealots, they're going to go and blitz themselves back. They have to put on their running shoes, their pump-up sneakers, and try and get back into the natural base, so that way they can defend against this Lurker aggression. And look at that, both the Lurkers coming down. We do have High Templar on the way, so Storm is going to be a definite threat. +1 upgrade on the way. And is he going to morph right away? Yes, he's going for that morph, which means that he can use the AoE. If he puts a Zealot on top of this unit right here, he can start attacking his Zealot and try and go for that sort of attack. Meanwhile, Jaedong taking additional base at this bottom right hand corner, sitting over at the 3 o'clock position, and there's a lot of Zerglings on the map. And where are they going to end up going? These Scourge, they're doing their best to keep the Corsairs at bay, and it looks like none of the shots were off here. I don't know if any units ended up getting killed, because you never see a kill count on a Scourge. But it looks like Cal is just kind of restricted right now. Moving out again, though. There are no Overlords here. No Zerglings to scout this out. And it looks like the Zealots are trying to get in the way. And yes, he's going for the Zealot AoE trick. And meanwhile, these Corsairs picking off another Overlord here. And that is going to supply block Jaedong. So this is a good situation for Cal, where his Corsair aggression is starting to pay off. These Lurkers are going to have to run themselves away. And they are going to be on full health. 1 kill only on this Lurker. And not too much damage done. It seems like the Forge has been taken out, though. And Cal wants to make sure that he has that continuous Forge shield up at the front. That way he can just deflect more units and buffer more time to get his units back to defend. Now we do see the Observers out with the out with the rest of the units. Is there anything else interesting that's going to happen? We have a more Stargate production. Corsairs continuing to pump out 4 gates inside the main base. Meanwhile, the tech, it's going to for another evolution chamber. The hive is on the way, so it is not finished yet. We see that the gas is mining at the 2nd and the 3rd, and meanwhile this 4th base, no production whatsoever. It's just larva for army when Jaedong will need it. These zealots trying to move themselves in, no way that they can get inside. This choke point too strong, and with this 2-point aggression of these lurkers inside the base, really good defense by Jaedong. So these Corsairs are what Cal is going to have to rely upon to get ahead. Meanwhile, a 3rd base being taken by Cal at this 2 o'clock position, and this is going to be pretty well defended, and I think that we're going to see a nice little drop here. This harassment play is going to be sick, and we have Corsairs sitting inside this 3 o'clock base. They know exactly what's going on. There's nothing here. Jaedong's not even aware. He doesn't have overlords available, so if somehow we're able to get Dark Templars, Cal is able to get Dark Templars inside of this 3rd base, it's going to benefit him really well. So here comes the elevator drop. The Archon and 2 zealots are already out, and so the shuttle, it's going to make its way. It does not have that speed upgrade. Going to just slowly inch itself, and now it's going to be this assault on top of the drones. How much damage is going to be done? Meanwhile, he's fading attacks at the front. These Corsairs try to do as much damage as possible and try and distract everything. Cal, his multitasking is going to have to kick in right now, and it looks like 4 more zealots are going to come in, and the drones are on the way. They're running fast pretty quickly, so Cal's deciding to take out this hatchery first. But oh my goodness, Jaedong, how did he come up with all these Scourge and Mutalisks at once? And it looks like the Corsairs are going to be taken out. No, a couple of them do survive. And Jaedong, he wants to be very careful not to lose any more Mutalisks. This is a huge investment here. But with the help of the Archon, Jaedong lost a lot of Mutas. This is not good. Cal's defense was spectacular. His Corsairs were in just a great position, and the Scourge did not do enough damage to take out these Corsairs. Meanwhile, the small flock of Mutas, they're going to have to try to do the best that they can. But running into these Corsairs is not going to benefit Jaedong. He's going to lose so much gas by losing these Mutalisks here. And I think even though the Corsair threat is finally done, that was not a good trade for him. So here we have a ton of zealots. They're just going to ignore air, and they're going to run themselves in. I think that Cal, he might try and go from a 2-pronged attack on top of this base, try and do some sort of pincher, come up this ramp, meanwhile trying to defend over here. Observers have to be with Cal's army, though. He has to be super careful. Without Storm, he's not going to be able to take out these lurkers very well, but he's trying to get inside. The lurkers, they're going to do a lot of damage, and the Zerglings are buffering a lot of attack right here. They're doing so much damage, too. They have their speed and their crackling upgrade, and it seems like Cal's not going to be able to bust inside. A failed attack by all means, and so he's going to have to run away. But look at that. Now we have Storm. Almost 2 Storms available on top of this High Templar. A single Storm left on this High Templar. If he tried to bust in just 30 seconds later to wait for those High Templar, he could have taken out this base and saved the crux of his army. But no, he is keeping this base at bay, though. Jaedong, he needs to take a 4th, and it looks like Cal is going to be continuing to out-expand him at this time, dropping down a few more cannons. It's going to make him at a very safe position. This Overlord, though, it's trying to make itself across and be able to scout out that this base is in existence. This drop play is not available yet, and we do have Mutalisks that are going to come in and hopefully do some more aggression. A lot of Zerglings coming across with these upgrades. What do they have? +2 care place, +1 attack, and are they going to be able to get inside and do more damage? This looks like flawless defense by Cal so far. A bunch of Dragoons have been made, so that way he can take care of the air aggression from Jaedong if he decided to go with more Mutalisks. Unfortunately, though, this has become a total Zergling lurker aggression attack from Jaedong, and these Dragoons are going to be pretty much useless inside that engagement. So I would like to see, what do we have here? The shuttle, nothing inside of it. These drops are going to be so important, and it looks like the Zerglings are finally going to clean up this area so Jaedong can take his 4th base, but he's so far delayed on taking that 4th. Meanwhile, the Dragoon Zealot mixture, High Templar on the way. There's a lot of Storms available on top of this High Templar, and if Cal can get great Storms, then he can take down the Titan. Is Jaedong's ZVP going to fail him here? Cal, such great micro. I can't believe how well he's been able to take his bases. We can see that he's mining from all the gases available. His mineral patches are flush with probes, and he's actually deciding to retreat until he can get that perfect composition. 144 supply. He really needs to start getting a little bit stronger supply. It's 141 to 144. That's not going to favor the Protoss player too well. And it looks like with the Dark Templar out, he can start doing some sort of invisible harassment if he can snipe off more Overlords. But it looks like the Stargate, the production has stopped. and instead Cal is going to be going for that Reaver tech. So now a lot of Dragoons sitting on this ridge here in case there's going to be more aggression from the Mutalisks. But no, 2 Corsairs have managed to stay alive. They did a lot of damage right here, and they're taking out Guardians. The Guardians tried to bust themselves away. We can see that there's a lack of probes at this time. Meanwhile, a counterattack here. It looks like we're going to see drop play finally coming in, and Cal, he's completely off guard. His army's in the middle of the map. Meanwhile, these drops are going to come. The cannons are in range. They're going to start popping out shots on top of these Overlords, but the Overlords are ignoring everything. 2 Dark Swords falling really quickly here, and these Zerglings are taking out these glass cannons, and it looks like the base has being completely invaded. Now Jaedong with this huge counterattack. How much damage is going to get done? Cal, there's no way for him to get inside of his base very quickly. He doesn't know what to do with the rest of his army. It looks like Jaedong has found his perfect timing, and the drop is going to be great. Oh, 2 Reavers here though. The 2 Reavers have to go for a great defense. Cal not microing very well right here though. Almost loses that single Reaver, but the lurkers inside of the main base still doing tons of damage, and it looks like Cal's time to counterattack is right here. He needs to move in. Where are these High Templar with tons of storms? Look at all these lurkers. They're now finally exposed, but a nice move with the lurkers. Jaedong just getting rid of the space in time before the storms were able to fall on top of them. A huge, no, this isn't a crucial building right here. This Citadel Dune going down, it won't prevent anything because the new necessary upgrades are there. And the Templar Archives are still alive. But Jaedong, he's going for the drops again, and he was down a base for so long. It's amazing that this counterattack is going to put Jaedong into a leading position now. And if he can take out this Templar Archives, it will take Cal way too long before he can start producing High Templars again. And that might be the end of the game. These gateways are going down very fast. And look, finally the counterattack inside of the natural base of Jaedong. And Cal needs to make sure this can work. It looks like the Plague Oog falling down though. It's going to take a lot of those Dragoons out, and inside of the main base still it is continuing to fall. This is the end of the Protoss race. I don't know how Cal can come back unless the main army can do more damage. He's sitting supply back at 128 supply. Meanwhile, Jaedong sitting at 130 supply, still in the lead. This main base is not going to be good. It looks like the nexus of the main is finally going to fall, and there is nothing else that Cal can do at this time. He has to rely on these 3 bases. He doesn't have any more necessary units. The gateways are basically gone at this time, sitting with only 1 gateway inside of his natural base, trying to queue up as much as possible. You can see right there, accidentally queuing way too much actually. So the observatory is down. There are no more observers available to be made on the map. And if those die, these lurkers will just have their way away from the cannons. So this is a necessary observer. Cal has to protect it with his life. A straggling zealot right here. He's not going to be doing any good. So this base, only the front was knocked up a little bit, just slightly bruised. But a bruising is not going to be good enough for Jaedong. He needs to put Jaedong in a stranglehold. But this is not a position that Cal can be in. It looks like a reverse stranglehold indeed. So 2 High Templar are trying to go for this last final defense. This is the fight for ire, if I've ever seen one. And so the Zealots are trying to run away. These Zerglings are just way too strong right now. We can see that the attack upgrade is 3-2, and that the Zealots, they're severely lacking. They don't even have armor or plasma shield upgrades, just sitting with +3 attack. So while their damage output is really good, they will not survive long. The survivability of this Protoss race is just in shambles at this time. And Jaedong, he's got so many units just straggling around here. Meanwhile, he's macroed up really well. A bunch of units sitting around the bottom of the map, ready to invade the Protoss army when they can. He cannot make it up this ramp. This would be a horrible trade. He's got to go for some Dark Swarm Plague play if he wants to be able to make it inside. Meanwhile, Cal deciding whether he wants to pick up an extra Reaver, and decides no, that's not the best decision here. So he's going to run his Reaver back to his main, or natural base, I should say, so that way he can go for a final hold in that position. But Cal, I think he's slowly realizing that there's no way he can recover, and the drops are going in again. It looks like the Overlords have been filled up, and are we going to see another drop timing from Jaedong? Will it be too strong? A bunch of Zealots going to get caught around. Are these Zerglings going to see him? And it's a sad day when you could see Zealots scared of engaging with Zerglings here. And so the Overlords, they're still waiting. They are poised for attack. They want to pounce on their prey. And Cal, he has his eyes set on these Overlords. He knows exactly what's going on. Meanwhile, a double Reaver counterattack. Where is it going to go? Is he going to be able to pick off some units inside of the base here? But these Overlords and their drops are going to make it nicely into this base here. A bunch of gateways. This is the only production facilities really available, and it looks like Ultralists are finally on the field. These Ultralists, how strong are their attacks going to be? And they're charging themselves up inside of the natural base. Meanwhile, we see drop play coming inside the two-pronged attack, and meanwhile, these Reavers are trying to do the best damage that they can. It's just not going to be good enough. There's so many Ultras inside of this main, our natural base. Meanwhile, the Reavers are just cleaned up by this single Ultralist. He's got that one kill. Double Dark Swarm, and it looks like the drop inside of the third base, too strong. Godzilla, Cal, going to have to tap out. GG. And that looks like Jaedong prevails again. His JVP is just way too strong. So let's go ahead and look. Let's recap what this game saw. So if we look at the overview, just overwhelming amount of units. But how well were the trades? It looks like a 1-2 trade again. And as I like to reiterate, a 1-2 trade in the favor, it goes to the favor of Zerg. 496 units produced versus 188. So Jaedong going into the strong macro mode. And then when we look at this, only 2 structures taken out. And we saw those 2 structures. One was that hatchery, and the additional one was actually another hatchery sitting at that natural base. Meanwhile, Jaedong taking out 43. Most of those may be cannons, but it doesn't matter. Taking out that many buildings is just ridiculous. Actually took out what? The Citadel Dune, the Templar Archives, a Nexus, the Stargate, a bunch of gateways. So you know what? It was not just cannon fodder. He was able to take out a bunch more. And then if we look at the resource count, Jaedong was down. He was down 3 bases to 4, and in the end he was able to macro behind this huge aggression attack, get up to 5 bases. In the end, he just flourished with his economy and was able to overwhelm Cal. So this is BisuDagger. Thank you for listening. I hope you really enjoyed this cast, because it was exciting to see Cal, even though we know he is in the army. We haven't seen him for quite a while. So this is the end of Jaedong versus Cal. Please listen next time to enjoy some more of the replays that I will be casting. Thank you.